every intermediate guitarist struggles with this rhythm on the screen. Okay, maybe some people don't struggle with it, so don't leave me a comment saying, I don't struggle with it, but a lot of people that I've run across struggle with this very rhythm, and it is so important that you learn how to play this rhythm so that you can use it in your playing. So let's get right into it and practicing the rhythm so that we can learn this thing. So I like to call this the all upbeats rhythm, and for those of you who have seen my other video, it's called the Ultimate Guitar Rhythm Exercise. This is one of the rhythm cells that's in that video. And I've had many students who have said, oh, this is the hardest rhythm. And on top of that, I've gotten some comments on there saying, wow, I really, really struggle with this rhythm. So I wanted to make this video to show you how you can practice this rhythm so you can get it totally locked in. So first, I'm going to explain the rhythm. Okay, so let's listen to what it sounds like. So this rhythm is playing with the 16th note subdivision in this case. And if you see on the screen there, the way that it's counted is kind of like this. If I'm clapping my hands, E, 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 So the idea is basically the entire time that we're playing, we are never playing at the exact same time as the metronome. We're always kind of countering it and playing all the upbeats. So if we look here on the left-hand side, you can see this is how we would count one beat of 16th notes. And on the guitar, one way I like to play it is using the picking direction you see there. So 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. All alternate picking. So down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So if you notice, all the time, the 1 is a downstroke, the E is an upstroke, the and is a downstroke, and then the is also an upstroke. So if we look at example number 2, when we play this all upbeats rhythm, we're essentially placing a rest on the 1 and the and. So you see here we have this rest, and then we have this rest. So then we're left with this. 1 E, 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 And if we follow that same picking scheme, we end up with all upstrokes the entire time. Now, by the way, this is just a good place to start. This is not to say that you should always play with all upstrokes. Maybe there's a particular lick you're learning where it's not a good idea and it's just easier technically to modify that, but this is a good way to start so that you can feel this rhythm properly. So first of all, the metronome setting I was using here was 70 beats per minute. And if it's hard for you to play it at that tempo, well then definitely slow it down. So practicing this rhythm, we really need to start slow. So I'm going to move the metronome to 50. And I'm going to make sure, first of all, that I can count 16 notes solidly along. So 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a. And if I can do that, then I just make sure I move my pick up on E and So 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and So once you can do that comfortably a whole bunch of times in a row, then you should start speeding it up. A good goal to be able to play this rhythm is at least 100 beats per minute. So 16th notes at 100, ideally like 120. So a big problem that also people have told me about is that once you start getting to a faster tempo, it kind of falls apart after a bit. So it can start to get kind of confusing playing all these upbeats and your brain never gets to latch on to that downbeat at any moment, at least not with the actual pick. Now, if you're counting solidly, you should be able to still feel those downbeats when they happen. So now let's put the metronome at that gold tempo of 100. First of all, let's see what it sounds like. So we're counting 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. So what do we do once it starts falling apart? Here's my best practice strategy for you is make sure you just play a super short burst of the rhythm. Remember, this is just a one beat rhythm that's repeating over and over and over on every single beat. So chances are you might be able to go like this. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and up. So you keep doing that over and over. Really remember what that feels like. Notice how the falls right before the metronome. It's like boom, boom. You hear that click right after the So you got to make sure you can hear that rhythm in relation to the metronome. Even though we are not playing exactly with the metronome, we're playing all the upbeats, it still relates to the metronome, still in time with the metronome. So once you can do one, then see if you can do two in a row. E, E, 1 E and a, 2 E and a. And make sure you feel relaxed too. Even me, sometimes I feel like I'm getting a little bit of tension there, like in the middle of my body. I'm just kind of trying hard and focusing hard. You need to be able to play this also and be relaxed, and it shouldn't feel that hard, actually. It's not really any different than playing eighth notes. Not technically harder, but mentally it's harder. So once you can do it 2 times, then do it 4 times. And so on and so forth. So that is the best strategy for when you can play the rhythm and it starts falling apart. Just make sure that you do a short burst and then elongate the burst further and further and further until you can basically do it indefinitely without ever having to stop. So let's check out example number 3, because a lot of times example number 3 you see there, it's actually the same rhythm. Okay, it's all upbeats, but it's the 8th note version of the rhythm. So a lot of times you might be playing a song that's at a particular tempo where it's just really, really, really fast to be playing 16th notes. And it just kind of doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right for the song. In this case, you think of the same rhythm, but in 8th notes. So instead of like this, 1 E and 2 E and you think 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So if you notice there, having those 2 rhythms written right next to each other, example 2 and 3 here, you'll see that for every 8th rest, it replaces the 16th rest that was there before. So now, instead of 1 E and we have 2 beats of 8th notes, 1 and 2 and. So the ands are sort of equivalent to what the E's and the U's were before. And the way that all this stuff works, 16th notes at, for example, 60 beats per minute is the exact same speed as 8th notes at 120 beats per minute, twice the tempo. Let's listen to what that sounds like. So here's 60 BPM. So you'd have 1 E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. But at 120 beats per minute, it would sound still the same. Da 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 da. But now look, there's going to be twice as many metronome hits, and we're going to think of it in a different way. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? So now in this case, at this tempo, if I wasn't super comfortable with the idea of playing 16th notes, which is like really fast, and the rhythm would sound like this at this tempo. That's like, it starts to, again, be very, very challenging at that tempo. I might just think of version number 3 instead and count it in 8th notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So again, it depends on the song that you're playing, what the tempo is, how you want to think of that. So, for example, let's actually put it in the context of something musical here. So, I'm going to use this backing track, which is just a typical 1-5-6-4 that everyone needs to know how to play over, by the way. I've talked about this many times on my channel, but we're just going to focus on the rhythm here, okay? So, once you've practiced it with the metronome, all that good stuff, you need to be able to actually use it like for musical stuff, or else what's the point of learning it? So, step 3, once you've practiced it slow, then you've sped it up and you've played the bursts if you need to, is practice improvising with the rhythm. So, let's see how it would sound like in this context. So here, this is about 70 beats per minute, and you would count it the 16th notes like this: 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a so. So you hear that? Now, if that's too hard, then maybe try, let's bring this down a little bit. If that's too hard, maybe try playing eighth notes. So I can count like this with the song. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... And of course, that still sounds great. It's not like one is better than the other, right? So, that last thing that I played there, I just want to talk about one more thing and then this video's over, is it's not just to play that rhythm by itself. So why do we even learn this? Okay, there's 3 reasons. Number 1, it's just going to improve your overall time and rhythm because it's a rhythmic challenge, right? Number 2 is, I think even more important, it teaches you to start your phrases on upbeats. So sometimes it sounds really cool if you play this rhythm a couple times and then just go into a straight up line of 16th notes or 8th notes. What do I mean by that? I'm going to use the rhythm and then I'm going to break out of it and then just start playing, you know, my normal everyday other 16th note rhythms, like maybe just playing a line of 16th notes. So let's see what that sounds like. Right? So I started it with that phrase and it kind of made it unpredictable when I was going to resolve the rhythm. To me, that's actually the most important reason to learn this rhythm, is because a lot of people, when they're more intermediate at soloing, what they do is they never ever play that rhythm because it's a challenging rhythm. So they're always starting stuff on downbeats. They're always starting like this instead. While that sounds fine, it's in time, it's like not really as interesting because I'm always starting on da 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 da. It's always kind of square where it's starting on a downbeat every time. And number 3, it just freaking sounds cool because of that, okay? It sounds more interesting. It sounds unpredictable. Like I said, it kind of creates this like rhythmic tension that you don't even know like when it's gonna resolve. So the listener is kind of grabbed in by this rhythm and you're wondering, when is it going to just resolve back to a downbeat at some point? So it can be a really good device to build up tension in your solos. So, if you want to learn how to master the guitar fretboard so that you can solo over any chord progression and be able to know exactly where all the chord tones are so you can play those changes and make it sound super melodic, like you know exactly what you're doing, make sure you head on over to jamsville.com right now and check out the Jamsville GPS Fretboard Fundamentals course. We've just extended our Black Friday sale to Friday, December 1st of 50% off the course. So if you've ever been thinking about getting the course, now is the time. Also, make sure you check out the Jamsville merch store in the link in the description down below for a freaking awesome Jamsville shirt or mug. We got lots of different products. I love the Jamsville hat. I've worn it in videos before. Not wearing it right now, but all of it looks super cool, and you can rep your guitar community at Jamsville when you're out and about in the world. Also, check the description for my favorite guitar picks for soloing, the Dan's Guitar Store Precision Pick. They have absolutely unbelievable unmatched grip that I've never felt in any pick before, and I absolutely love the beveled edge. It cuts right through the strings like a hot knife through butter, and I never felt anything like it before. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. It really, really helps us get out to more people when you hit that like button. And as always, until next time, listen, learn, and jam.